wind cut like knives. Elena pulled her scarf tighter, her breath frosting in the night air. Snowflakes stung her cheeks as she trudged through the endless white. Behind her, the others struggled. 6 figures, bundled in heavy coats, carrying supplies strapped to their backs. Their lanterns bobbed in the darkness like faint stars, swallowed almost instantly by the storm. It was supposed to be a test of endurance, a skiing expedition into the Ural Mountains, a chance for photographs, stories, and bragging rights when they returned home. But the storm had come early, and with it, a sense of something watching them. They weren't alone on the pass. The group set up camp on the edge of the tree line, the canvas tent sagging under the weight of snow. The fire crackled weakly, smoke stinging Elena's eyes. "We should have stayed below," muttered Ivan, their leader, his hands trembling as he lit another cigarette. "The pass is cursed." "Cursed?" Pavel laughed bitterly, tightening his boots. "That's what the villagers said, wasn't it? Spirits in the mountains. Ghosts of the dead." Elena stayed silent. She remembered the warning from the old woman at the last settlement. "Don't go to the pass. The mountain does not want you. It will take you." She hadn't believed it then. She wasn't sure she believed it now. But the way the wind howled, like voices whispering in the distance, made her skin crawl. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. The tent groaned against the wind, snow pelting the canvas in relentless waves. She lay awake, listening. At first, it was only the storm, but then something else. A voice. It was faint, nearly lost in the gale. A woman's voice, calling her name. "Elena." She sat up, heart hammering. The others stirred fitfully, lost in uneasy dreams. Carefully, she slipped from her blanket, unzipped the flap, and peered outside. The snow had stopped. The night was unnaturally clear, and standing just beyond the tree line was a figure, tall, motionless, shrouded in white. "Elena," it whispered again, though its mouth never moved. She blinked. The figure was gone, but the tracks in the snow remained. Human footprints, leading away from camp, deeper into the forest. Her breath caught. The prints were barefoot. "Elena?" She turned sharply. Ivan was awake, squinting at her from inside the tent. "Did you see that?" she whispered. "See what?" She hesitated, staring at the prints. Already the wind was filling them in, erasing all trace. "Nothing," she lied. By morning, Pavel was gone. His blanket was empty, his boots still by the fire. The group searched the perimeter, shouting his name until their voices cracked. No tracks, no signs of struggle, just silence. Elena's stomach twisted. She didn't tell them about the figure. She didn't tell them about the footprints, but as they packed their supplies and prepared to move, she could still hear it. Faint, beneath the roar of the wind, whispers, calling her name. The sun was weak, a pale disk behind a veil of clouds. When they left camp, the snow crunched under their skis, the forest giving way to the wide open expanse of the pass. Wind swept across the slopes, carving ripples into the white like frozen waves. Nobody spoke much that morning. Pavel's disappearance hung heavy in the air. Elena kept glancing over her shoulder, half expecting to see him trudging behind, his crooked smile peeking out from his scarf. But there was only emptiness. "People don't just vanish," muttered Mikhail, the youngest of the group. His cheeks were raw with windburn, his eyes wide. He must have wandered. In a blizzard? Without boots? Ivan snapped, voice sharp. His cigarette trembled between his lips. Don't be a fool. Something took him. The words hung there, raw and dangerous. Nobody replied. By midday, they reached a ridge. From there, the valley stretched before them, endless white fading into storm clouds. The mountains loomed like jagged teeth on the horizon. They paused for water, their breaths steaming in the frigid air. Elena's hands shook as she unscrewed her flask. The wind carried something with it, a sound that wasn't quite the storm. It was laughter, childlike. She froze, water sloshing down her glove. The others didn't seem to hear it, or maybe they pretended not to. Elena, her head snapped around. At the base of the ridge, half buried in snow, stood Pavel. His face was pale, lips blue, eyes wide and empty. He raised a hand slowly, beckoning. Elena. She stumbled back, nearly dropping her flask. There, look, she cried. The others turned, squinting against the snow. But the figure was gone. Only untouched white remained. That night, they pitched camp lower in the valley. The storm had returned, howling through the mountains, shaking the tent as though trying to rip it apart. Elena sat wrapped in blankets, teeth chattering. Across from her, Ivan scribbled in his journal, muttering under his breath, We'll go back tomorrow, he said suddenly. This expedition is finished. We're not equipped for this. And tell the university what? Sneered Katya, one of the skiers, her face gaunt from cold. That we lost one of our own because we were scared of fairy tales. Ivan glared at her. You saw nothing? Katya hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward Elena, then back to the fire. I heard something, voices, but the wind plays tricks. Elena's stomach tightened. She wanted to confess what she had seen. Pavel in the snow, pale and silent. But the words stuck in her throat, thick with fear. Sleep came in broken fragments. Dreams of white corridors, endless snow, voices calling her deeper. She woke to the sound of someone crying. It was Andrei, the quietest of the group. He sat near the flap, head in his hands, shoulders trembling. What is it? Elena whispered, crawling closer. They won't stop, he muttered. His eyes were wild, bloodshot. The voices, they're inside my head. They say, we're not supposed to be here. Elena touched his arm. His skin was ice cold. It's just the wind, just the storm. But then she heard it too. Not outside, inside the tent. Whispers, threading between their breaths. Leave, leave, leave. By morning, Andre was gone. The tent flap hung open, snow piled inside. His boots were still by his sleeping bag. His coat, too. Elena's heart dropped. She stumbled outside, scanning the fresh snow. Tracks, dozens of them, barefoot, leading into the trees. They weren't just Andre's. They were smaller, lighter, like children, and every single one led away from camp. The group argued, voices sharp and cracking with fear. Katya wanted to follow the tracks. Ivan refused. They'll lead us to the same place, he growled, lighting another cigarette with shaking hands. The mountain wants us gone. If we follow, we'll never come back. Mikhail's voice broke. So what do we do? Wait here until it takes us too? Elena didn't speak. She stared at the tree line, at the place where the tracks disappeared into shadow. She swore she could see them. Figures, children, half hidden among the branches, watching, waiting, and somewhere in that darkness she heard Pavel's voice again. Elena, come play. Her skin crawled. She backed away from the trees, bile rising in her throat. They weren't just lost. They were being hunted. Snow hammered the tent that night, a relentless drumbeat against canvas walls. The fire had died long ago, leaving only the faint orange glow of embers. The group huddled together for warmth, silent, every one of them listening. The whispers hadn't stopped since Andre disappeared. They threaded through the storm, soft and taunting, slipping into every pause in the wind. Sometimes it was Pavel's voice, sometimes Andre's, sometimes children, always calling. Elena pressed her hands against her ears until they hurt, but the voices seeped through her bones. Elena, come outside. It's warm. By dawn, they were breaking. Katya snapped first. She paced the tent, muttering to herself, her eyes darting at shadows that weren't there. Her lips were cracked, bleeding, but she never stopped whispering under her breath. Ivan tried to keep control, barking orders, forcing everyone to pack. His journal was filled with frantic scrawls, words that didn't make sense. Circle of trees, children in white, eyes in the snow. Mikhail cried openly as he stuffed supplies into his rucksack, tears freezing on his cheeks. Elena said nothing. Her mind was numb. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them, barefoot children, standing in the snow, their mouths moving in whispers she couldn't quite hear. They left camp without speaking. The wind tore at their faces, the snow blinding, but Ivan led them higher into the pass, determined to cross. Katya muttered curses at his back, calling him a coward, a fool. Mikhail stumbled, falling to his knees, sobbing that he couldn't go on. Elena helped him up, her arms trembling with exhaustion. His skin felt wrong, too cold, even through his coat. Keep moving, Ivan barked. If we stop, we die. Elena wanted to believe him, but the mountain felt alive beneath her skis. Every gust of wind carried voices. Every shadow between the drifts seemed to shift and move. By late afternoon, the storm cleared for the first time in days. The sky was blood red, the sun sinking behind jagged peaks. That's when they found the tree line. A perfect circle of pines stood ahead, the branches heavy with snow. Inside, the ground was bare. No snow, no ice, just dark earth. And at the center, a ring of stones. Ivan froze, cigarette slipping from his lips. Don't go in there. Katya laughed sharply, the sound brittle. Why not? Afraid of fairy circles now even? She dropped her pack and staggered toward the trees. Elena's stomach twisted. The air felt wrong, heavy, like breathing underwater. Katya, stop, she whispered. But Katya didn't stop. She stepped between the trees. The wind died instantly. The whispers roared. Elena clutched her head, screaming as voices flooded her skull, 1,000 words at once, meaningless, endless. Her vision blurred, her knees buckling. When she looked again, Katya was standing in the ring of stones, her body rigid, her head tilted back, her eyes rolling white. Elena, she croaked. It's beautiful. Her mouth stretched wider, wider, splitting at the corners until blood ran down her chin. Then she laughed. Ivan rushed forward, dragging her by the arms. Help me, he shouted. Elena and Mikhail stumbled into the circle, seizing Katya's legs. Her body convulsed violently, bones cracking, her skin rippling, as though something beneath was trying to crawl out. Hold her, Ivan screamed. But Katya's strength was impossible. She thrashed free, her fingernails tearing bloody grooves into Ivan's face. He reeled back, screaming. Katya rose to her feet, eyes glowing faint white in the twilight. Her voice was layered now, dozens of voices speaking through her at once. You should not be here. The wind screamed back to life. The trees bent violently. Snow tore across the valley. Katya lunged at Mikhail. Her fingers dug into his throat, crushing. He screamed, clawing at her wrists, blood pouring down his neck. Elena grabbed a rock from the circle and swung. The crack echoed like thunder. Katya fell, her skull split against the stones. Blood spilling into the earth. Her body twitched once, then stilled. The whispers fell silent. For the first time in days, there was only the sound of the storm. Elena dropped the rock, her hands soaked in blood. She couldn't breathe. Her chest heaved, her stomach lurching. Ivan knelt beside Katya's corpse, his face a mask of horror. Mikhail collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. She's dead, Elena whispered, her voice hollow. She's gone. Ivan's jaw clenched. No, she's not gone. Elena stared at him. He was right. Katya's body twitched. Her mouth opened, and in the howl of the storm, Elena heard it again. Her name, Elena. Katya's body twitched again. Her eyes snapped open, pale, milky white, glowing faintly in the dim light. Elena stumbled backward, slipping in the snow. Mikhail screamed, scrambling to his feet. But Ivan didn't move. He just stared, cigarette trembling between his fingers, his face streaked with blood from Katya's earlier attack. Katya sat up. Her broken skull gaped, bone visible beneath torn flesh. Blood ran freely down her face, yet her mouth stretched into a terrible smile. Elena, she whispered. Her voice was wrong, layered, hollow, echoing. It wasn't just Katya speaking. It was many. Elena's breath came in gasps. She's dead, she muttered. I killed her. I killed her. No, Ivan rasped, eyes wide. The mountain won't let them go. Katya's movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. She stood, her head lolling to one side, her cracked jaw hanging loose. The air around her thickened, heavy with whispers. Mikhail clutched Elena's sleeve. We have to run. But Katya lunged. Her hands shot out, impossibly fast, seizing Mikhail's face. His scream tore through the pass as she slammed him into the ground. Once, twice, until blood spattered the snow. Elena threw herself forward, grabbing Mikhail's arm. But Katya's strength was monstrous. She dragged him toward the ring of stones, his body convulsing, his eyes rolling back. Help him, Elena shrieked. Ivan staggered forward, pulling a knife from his belt. He plunged it into Katya's side. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she turned her ruined face toward him, her mouth stretching wide, impossibly wide, and she laughed. The sound was unbearable, hundreds of voices shrieking and giggling at once. Elena clapped her hands over her ears, tears streaming down her cheeks. Katya dropped Mikhail. His body twitched weakly in the snow, blood pouring from his shattered skull. Ivan ripped the knife free and slashed again, this time across her throat. Black blood spilled down her chest, steaming in the cold. Still, she didn't stop. Her hand shot out, grabbing Ivan by the wrist, bones snapping like twigs. He screamed, falling to his knees. Elena's gaze darted wildly, searching for anything, anything to stop this nightmare. Her eyes fell on the circle of stones. Something about them, the way Katya had convulsed when inside them, the way the whispers had grown louder. Elena, Ivan shrieked as Katya bent over him, her mouth opening wider, impossibly wide, until her jaw cracked. She was going to devour him. Elena grabbed one of the stones from the circle, heavy and sharp-edged. She staggered forward, her breath ragged. With all her strength, she slammed it into Katya's head. The sound was wet, sickening. Katya shrieked, a dozen voices wailing at once. Her body convulsed, smoke rising from her skin. She staggered back into the circle, her body twisting unnaturally, limbs bending the wrong way. The earth itself seemed to open, black veins spreading from the stones. The whispers rose into a deafening roar, and then silence. Katya's body collapsed into the dirt. This time, it didn't move. Elena dropped the stone, her arms trembling violently. She stumbled backward, nearly falling. Ivan knelt beside her, his face ashen, his wrist broken and useless. Mikhail lay still, blood pooling beneath his head. 3 left. Only 3. The wind howled through the pass, carrying faint laughter, as if mocking them. Ivan's voice broke the silence, low and hollow. This place, it feeds on us. It won't stop, not until we're all gone. Elena stared at Katya's twisted corpse, bile rising in her throat. Then we don't let it take us. We get out. Ivan laughed bitterly, a sound with no joy. No one leaves. His eyes flicked to the trees. Shadows moved between them, small, childlike shapes, watching, waiting, and in the growing dark, Elena heard Pavel's voice again, soft and sweet. Come home, Elena. Her blood turned to ice. They buried Mikhail in the snow at dawn. No words, no prayer, just a shallow grave, scraped into the frozen ground with numb fingers. His face was half frozen, blood matted in his hair, eyes half open as though still staring at something only he could see. Elena forced herself to close them before they covered him. Katya's body they did not touch. It lay twisted in the circle of stones, black veins still staining the earth beneath her. The 3 of them avoided looking at it. None of them wanted to know if it might move again. The sky was a hard, merciless gray as they broke camp. Elena's body screamed with exhaustion. Every step a battle. Ivan trudged ahead, despite his broken wrist, his cigarette bobbing between cracked lips. His eyes had sunk deep into his skull, fever-bright and haunted. The third was Sergei, the quiet one who had spoken little since the beginning. He walked behind Elena, his face pale, his breath shallow. He hadn't said a word since Katya's death. They didn't speak until midday. The pass had narrowed, the cliffs rising steep on either side. Snow choked the path, forcing them into single file. Elena's skis scraped rock beneath the ice. Then the whispers came again, not faint this time, loud, all around. Children's laughter echoed through the ravine. Footsteps crunched behind them, though no one was there. Elena, the voices sang, don't leave us. She spun, heart hammering. The tracks behind them were no longer 3 sets. Dozens of barefoot prints trailed in the snow. Panic surged. Elena quickened her pace. We have to move faster, she hissed. Ivan shook his head. No, that's what it wants. To drive us into exhaustion. We stick to the plan. Cross the ridge, find the tree line. You still think there's a way out? Elena snapped. Mikhail's dead. Katya's. She stopped. She couldn't bring herself to finish. Ivan's eyes flicked to her, sharp and hollow. There's always a way out, unless you want to lie down and let it take you. Sergei suddenly stopped. His breath steamed in ragged clouds. It doesn't matter, he whispered. We're not leaving. Elena turned, her stomach tightening. Don't say that. But his eyes were glassy, unfocused. I saw her. Last night. My sister. She's here. She wants me to stay. Sergei. Before she could move, he ripped off his coat and dropped it into the snow. Then he walked into the storm. Elena, don't. Ivan's hand shot out, gripping her arm as she tried to follow. His grip was iron, despite his broken wrist. He's gone. We can't just let him. He's gone. Ivan roared, his face inches from hers, spit freezing on his beard. You chase him. You die too. Elena's chest heaved, fury and despair choking her. Sergei's figure was already fading into the white, swallowed by the pass. The whispers grew louder. Stay, stay, stay. She pressed her fists against her temples, fighting the urge to run after him, fighting the pull of the voices. When she looked again, Sergei was gone. By nightfall, only 2 remained. The storm calmed briefly, enough to pitch the tent. They sat inside, silence thick and suffocating. The fire sputtered weakly, barely holding back the cold. Elena stared into the flames, her hands trembling. It wants us one by one, she said quietly, until nothing's left. Ivan lit another cigarette with shaking hands. His face was gaunt, his lips cracked. Then we give it something else. Her head snapped toward him. What? His eyes gleamed in the firelight. A trade. Blood for blood. It took Katya, Andrei, Mikhail, Sergei. Maybe if we give it more, it lets us pass. Elena's stomach dropped. You're talking madness. But Ivan only smiled, thin and terrible. Maybe, or maybe I finally understood what it wants. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. Every sound set her nerves on fire. The flap of canvas, the crackle of ice, the whispers threading through the dark. She opened her eyes once and saw Ivan still awake, staring at her through the flicker of the dying fire. His knife glinted in his good hand. She turned away, heart racing. Sleep never came. At dawn, she woke to the sound of movement. The tent flap was open, snow blowing inside. Ivan was gone. She crawled outside, her body stiff with cold. The storm had eased, revealing the valley stretched out below. And there, in the snow, were tracks, not just Ivan's. Dozens more, barefoot, surrounding the tent, leading away. She followed with her eyes, and her breath caught in her throat. At the edge of the pass, half shrouded in mist, Ivan stood. Children gathered around him in a circle, pale and smiling, their eyes hollow. Ivan turned to face her. His lips moved, and though she couldn't hear the words, she understood. Your turn. Elena's breath caught in her throat. Ivan stood at the far edge of the pass, his broken wrist hanging limp, knife glinting in the pale light. Around him, the children circled, dozens of them, barefoot in the snow, their skin gray-blue, their smiles too wide. Their eyes were pits of white. The storm was silent here. No wind, no whispers, only the crunch of small feet in the snow. Ivan raised his knife. His face was strangely calm. Elena, he called, voice carrying easily across the frozen air. It doesn't want me anymore. It wants you. She shook her head violently. No, no, it's lying to you. They're lies. But Ivan only smiled, a hollow, broken smile. Don't you see? We're already dead. We've been dead since Pavel vanished. Then he stepped into the circle of children. The ground opened beneath him, black earth splitting wide, veins of shadow spreading like cracks in ice. The children swarmed him, their tiny hands dragging him down. He didn't scream. He only laughed, a terrible, rattling sound, before the earth swallowed him whole. And then there was nothing. Ivan was gone. The circle was gone. Only the empty snow remained. Elena collapsed to her knees. Her chest heaved, her lungs burning with the cold. She was alone, truly alone. The silence pressed down like a weight. For a moment, she thought she could hear her own heartbeat. But then, Elena, her head jerked up. They were there. Pavel, Andrei, Katya, Mikhail, Sergei, Ivan, all of them standing in a line at the far end of the pass, pale and bloodied, their eyes white, their mouths moving in perfect unison. Elena, stay. Her hands trembled violently. She stumbled backward, her skis scraping against the ice. No, no, I'm leaving, I'm leaving. But when she turned, the way behind her was gone. The pass stretched endlessly in both directions, snow blending into mist. No beginning, no end. She was trapped. The figures stepped closer. Their mouths smiled, but their voices did not change. You cannot leave. You are ours. Elena's scream tore from her throat, ragged and raw. She ran. Her skis bit into the snow, her body propelled forward by sheer terror. The mist closed in, the pass narrowing, twisting, bending. The cliffs shifted, blocking her path, opening new ones. She was running in circles, trapped in a maze of ice. The whispers filled her skull, drowning thought, drowning breath. Stay, stay, stay. She stumbled, falling hard. Her knees cracked against the frozen ground. She clawed at the snow, dragging herself forward. Something cold seized her ankle. She kicked wildly, sobbing, but the grip tightened. She looked back. A child, its skin gray, lips torn, eyes hollow, smiling. Others crawled from the snow around her, pale hands reaching, grabbing, pulling. She screamed until her voice broke. The last thing she saw before the mist swallowed her was the pass itself, towering cliffs, endless snow, a sky that had never known warmth, and the faces, dozens, hundreds, all the lost, all the taken, their mouths whispering together in one endless voice. You are home, days later, A search party found the campsite, torn tents, scattered supplies, tracks leading into the snow that ended abruptly, as if swallowed whole. No bodies, no survivors, just the wind in the pass. And if one listened closely, too closely, beneath the howling storm, one might hear it. Oh, woman's voice, faint and broken, still screaming.